intro.
Oh no.
Oh no. That's the new intro. Forget the TV, that's the new intro.
I love that.
Hey, welcome back.
Hello.
We said that we were going to do a live stream this week, and we're doing a live stream and a video.
As we go, we do more. Is that
That's exactly, and that's the old saying, isn't it?
diminutive?
This is episode 8. Yes.
It's the 8th episode.
Yeah.
8's a good number.
I'm even numbers, you're odd numbers. That's right.
That's true, and that's good. I get episode.
No, that's not true, because I was number 1, wasn't I?
You were. What happened?
This is 7. This is 7.
No.
Oh, Rebecca was
7.
now we switched.
Aha.
Okay.
Now, yeah, because I was even numbers. That's good.
Yeah.
And 9 is
your number.
9's my favourite number.
Okay.
Number of the All-Father.
Unless I might name the live stream number 9. Take it away from me.
Take it from me. I don't like 10 either. Something about 10 that I don't like.
I'll do 10, don't
All right.
Don't worry.
Perfect 10.
It's me this week. You can't tell by the way I'm holding this phone. And it's time for the title.
Go on in. This is just to let you all know, Danny is big this up. He's giving me some fighting talk, saying this is the one that's going to make me.
Oh, I think it. Yeah.
I'm scared already. You know me with titles, so.
Yeah. I think it's going to be. It's going to be fun either way because the title is Playtime.
I don't like it.
This is the title.
I don't like it.
So here we go. Sit comfortably. You ready?
I waited by the letterbox every morning that summer. For the first weeks, the postman was creeped out by the sight of a 7-year-old boy peering through at him with wide eyes. After a while, though, he was fine. Once Mum told him what I was waiting for, he even began to sift through the letters as he walked down the garden path, and would always purse his lips disappointedly through the gap when his hands were only full of bills and pizza leaflets. Nothing deterred me though. Every day could have been the day, and when that day finally came, I screamed so loud that Mrs. Hall came round to check if everything was alright. It was an uproar. I dropped it twice as I scrambled to the kitchen. I flung it at my parents to open it. They laughed as I bounced impatiently. Dad scanned and smiled. "Dear Jason," he said, "we absolutely loved your homemade volcano. We hope you still have some food colouring left because we would love for you to come on Playtime and show us how it's done. We think our viewers would love to see you on the show. If so, please have a parent or legal guardian reply using the details below." I screamed over the final paragraph. Jasper barked furiously at me as I leapt around the house. Mum roared with laughter. Lizzie started crying in her high chair. Looking back, I think it was this second outburst that prompted Mrs. Hall's visit. The next 2 weeks went slower than the months before. I passed the time by watching Playtime even more than usual. That meant watching the 6:30 showing on BTV and then the repeat on BTV Plus 1 an hour later. I got jealous of the kids on there, that they got to show off their crafts while I had to eke out these hours at home. It didn't matter though. I only watched it for Bobo. Even back then, I knew it was just a grown-up in a costume, but to me, he was real. Bobo looked like a clown if clowns wore suits. His belly was comically large. He always wore a bright red dicky bow tie, which was also his namesake. His bulbous head was host to 2 unblinking eyes the size of my hand, and a smile made of felt that stretched from puffy ear to puffy ear. When Bobo would put his face to the screen to announce craft time, Jasper would always bark like crazy, and Dad would shout, "Bloody hell!" I'd always have to turn the volume up. When craft time finished, Bobo would always help the children before the buzzer went off. He'd always do the finishing touches and then squeal his catchphrase, "We never leave a child behind." As sure as the leaves turned brown, the day finally came for me to be on the show. Mum carefully loaded my volcano into the car. Dad spent ages fussing about where the baking soda should go. We had a new car, and as much as he wanted me to have the perfect day, he was adamant that his day would not be spent on his knees with a vacuum cleaner. In the end, they decided to tuck it next to Lizzie's baby seat. Meanwhile, I was ready. I packed my bags 2 days before with everything I'd need. It mainly consisted of autograph books given to me by my classmates for Bobo to sign. I also brought 2 apples, one for me and one for Bobo, because he always said that apples kept the doctors away. The TV studio was bigger than I had ever imagined. I was vaguely aware that they made other shows than Playtime. After I had finished watching an episode, Dad would usually leave the channel on to watch the news. He was gripped by the stories that summer. For me though, Playtime was everything. I had pictured it being filmed in a house, but that was only because of the fake windows and sky that lined the back of the set. Like Bobo though, they were real to me. We parked up, got our passes, and were ushered through to the waiting room by a rather sweaty looking woman. It wasn't hot anymore, and she wasn't overweight, but I still remember the dampness of her hand as she welcomed us. She didn't stay long, and left as soon as we were seated. There were 4 other children playing with Lego in the middle of the room. Their parents sat on the edges reading magazines and nodded as we settled ourselves. One mother leant into my parents and smiled. "Is he excited to meet Bobo then?" They told her everything. She laughed. "Michael has been just the same. He put the posters on his ceiling so that he wakes up to Bobo every single morning." Before I got a chance to play with the Lego, the sweaty woman returned. "Okay folks, we're starting soon. Grab your crafts and follow me." The next hour was a blur. I know that we rehearsed, but the studio lights were so bright that I couldn't even think straight. Before I knew it, it was showtime. The other kids and I waited patiently in Craft Corner as the show began. I shifted in my seat and tried to find my parents in the audience, but everything was so dark behind the blinking camera. I read the teleprompter before the announcement even came. "Okay folks, I think you know what time it is. It's time for Craft Time." The audience erupted with applause. I thought I heard Lizzie cry in the background. All of a sudden, Bobo leapt out from the side of the stage. "Hello everyone," he giggled. "Shall we get crafting then?" "Yeah," replied the audience. I was first up, and suddenly I froze. He was a lot larger in real life. His eyes seemed more the size of dinner plates than hands. His felt smile seemed to curl round the edges of his face now. I realised he had asked my name. Jason. "Well, Jason, what's this you have? A volcano? I hope it's not a real one. We don't want everyone here at Playtime getting swallowed in lava." The audience laughed, so I did too. He put his fuzzy hand on my back. I was starstruck. "Right then, let's get crafting." The buzzer went and I leapt into action. The dirt mound came first, then the soap and food colouring in the bottle. When I got to the vinegar, Bobo made a joke about fish and chips, but I was too in the zone to remember. Now it was time for the baking soda. But it wasn't there. I fumbled around the ingredients, sweat poured into my eyes, amplifying the scorching lights above. It wasn't there. How could it not be there? It's the one thing I need to actually make the bloody thing explode, and it wasn't. Oh, Lizzie's car seat. In that moment, I knew it was still stuffed down there. I stood there with my mouth hanging open, looking to my parents for help. Bobo sensed something was wrong. "Oh no! Are we missing the magic ingredient?" I looked at the timer as it counted down. There was only 10 seconds left, and my volcano was nothing more than a hill. "Not to worry," Bobo squealed. Quick as a flash, he dashed over to Michael's workstation and grabbed the baking powder for his homemade rocket. With only 5 seconds on the clock, Bobo threw some into the volcano and it erupted, gushing with food colouring lava as the audience oohed and ahed. "We never leave a child behind," Bobo boomed. I don't remember the rest of the show. I slumped into my seat. That was my shot, and I let myself down. More importantly, I let Bobo down. It hurt just as much when I watched the episode with Mum and Dad when it aired the following week. I couldn't even watch the end. As I trod upstairs, I noticed a letter at the foot of the door. It had the Playtime logo on it. As Dad opened it, I feared the worst. Was Bobo angry at me? Dad scanned the letter with a frown this time. I asked him if they hated me. "No," he said. "It says Bobo loved you so much that he wants you to come to his special night with all his favourite kids. It says no parents allowed." Mum had joined us in the hallway now. "No chance," said Dad. "I'm not leaving you alone at the moment. I've seen the news this summer. Kids disappearing left, right and centre." Mum laughed at him, but Dad was adamant. I was going with him or not at all. He chose the latter. I wasn't even that sad. I would have been too embarrassed to see Bobo again. I didn't even get his autograph before. As it turned out, my dad was right to do that. More right than I'd ever realised at that age. When the police began to piece the disappearances of the children together, they found that a number of the kids were last seen at radio show events, football matches, and TV studios. Those in charge said they always saw the kids off safely. Those same people were now being taken into custody. We watched the news a while later, and my heart sank when I saw the latest person charged. It was the sweaty woman from Playtime. It sunk even more when I saw who was missing. It was Michael. They showed a picture of him posing with his rocket, last seen at Bobo's special night. I'm telling you this story because it pertains to the case I'm working on. In fact, it's the reason I became a police officer in the first place. The injustice of all of that sparked a fire in me in my childhood. I was so hurt, so devastated by what happened that I vowed to make sure it never happened again. By the time I was put as lead detective, most of these crooks had been rounded up. It would make me sick, reading the plea bargains in exchange for the whereabouts of the body. On one occasion, I was put on leave for choking a TV exec against the wall of an interrogation room. I'd do it again, but that didn't matter. There was only one scumbag left to catch, Richard Rain. My boss only told me they wanted him in for questioning because of his involvement with many of the offending shows over the years, so that's how I found myself at the doors of BTV again on a cold January night, all those years on. No longer needing a pass, a simple flash of my badge got me up to the exec offices where we'd been tipped off that Mr. Rain had returned for some paperwork. I wanted to go in by myself, but the boss had insisted I bring 2 psychiatric specialists as he was known to be mentally unstable after his last round of questioning. I found his office easily enough, the last one in the hallway. His name had been pried off the door, but the faded imprint was still visible. I opened it slowly. The room was dark. I heard a thud and a roll. Looking down, I saw a green apple bump into my shoe, and then another, then another. I squinted into the darkness. As my eyes adjusted, I saw the outline of a man hunched by the window. I was told to get visual ID before I slapped the cuffs on him. As it turns out, I didn't need it. I had recognized that voice anywhere. No longer a squeal now, though, more of a groan.
"Excuse the apples, officer. I always thought they keep the doctors away. But I see you have 2 outside."
"It's you," I said. "I never thought you were the one, but you can't be." A pained laugh pierced the room.
"I knew we'd meet again, Jason. Maybe not that night, but another night all the same. After all, we never leave a child behind."
Right, I can stop holding my breath now. I felt like that was targeted. I felt like you had a checkpoint of things that you knew were going to get me bristling, and you hit every single one and then some as well. Oh, dude, that was a recipe for how to get under my skin.
Yeah.
And you did it incredibly fucking well. As soon as oh god. Okay. I hate clowns. Like, hate them. Danny brought a clown out.
Well,
And it was Bobo the clown.
it was. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. I saw that line talking. It was like from a charity or something.
Yeah, and I knew that. I know that. It's Scope, isn't it? Or
something. I don't know where I saw it.
NSPCC.
I might have seen an advert or something on YouTube.
Yeah. But it's that's a very for the non-British amongst us. That's a very. Well, I think in any sense, it's a familiar term.
You know what they mean, yeah.
Yeah, but you took that familiarity of that and turned it into something incredibly sinister, which was very, very good.
Well, so I thought of the whole show thing, and then as I wrote it, I guess I was vaguely aware of like what really scares you, but that wasn't like the inspiration. It came from like something else. But yeah, it just sort of kind of unfolded as I wrote it, and like
it was cinematic in its scope. And that was very, very well done in that sense as well. You covered a lot of breadth, and I think I prefer that compared to just like a cut and shoot. Because halfway through I was just like, okay, like where's this going to resolve itself? And then like tense shift, and I'm like, okay, here we go. It's going to be something even more horrific. Because that's what I mean, and it's traumatizing stuff like that can potentially lead someone to be in the same shoes as Jason, and it's just like near misses and stuff like that, and it's yeah, dude, that was cinematic. That was like cinematic is the word that I put that on.
Did you like I was a bit cryptic, but so it's Rainbow and it's Richard Rain, so Dickie Bow.
That's really good. Okay, no, I didn't get that at all. That's really good. Richard Rain.
Yeah, it was just like Dickie Bow or something like.
That's good. That's really good. Yeah.
I wasn't sure what to make it Richard. I think I was toying between that and Richard Archer, but Richard Rain seemed to float.
No, that's perfect. Now that you said that. I know as well. Like, I don't think I could have ever told a story like that because of the voice work. As soon as you did that, welcome to Craft Talk. Like.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that gets me. Like,
Yeah.
I literally was holding my breath the whole time as well. Because like even though I'm glad you didn't end it in some like kind of like horrific like death scene or something like that, or like some real kind of like visceral violence.
No.
Like it didn't mean I hate clowns anyway.
Because that also wouldn't. That's just not how it would play out.
Exactly.
It doesn't end with violence. It just sort of ends with someone getting dragged into a cell and rotten
Eventually.
away. Yeah, eventually. Like
Rotten apple.
Rotten apple, exactly.
All those apples. I like the aforementioned foreshadowed apples as well.
Do you get like the two psychs outside? Okay. Because that was the whole thing. They'd obviously like tried to treat him before or something in the past or whatever, and it just hasn't worked. So he sort of built this paranoia. Of these apples will whatever.
Yeah. They're almost these talismans to keep the real world away. Oh, now we're getting really analytical.
Yeah.
But talking about foreshadowing as well, like the small little denotements that you made about like, you know, there's a wider scope to this, you know, it's like a whole TV executive producer, like, you know, you didn't say that explicitly, which is really good, but you kind of like laid the little seeds to indicate that.
Yeah, I like the idea. I was kind of inspired a little bit by you know, Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
You know how, like, you know, he's flicking through the TV channels in Shaun of the Dead, and he's seeing clues of it, and I just and like I don't know, like I know it was like a little one-line thing, but when it said like the dad was like keeping up with the news, that's
Love the dad.
stuff like that.
Love the dad, by the way.
But when he said he was like watching the news after,
Yeah.
I didn't want it to be like, oh, by the way, my dad was also watching the news, and I was like, okay, I can slip that in. It's just
and also the dog barking.
Yeah, that's another thing.
That was as soon as the dog barked, I was like, dogs always know.
Yeah,
dogs are the best protectors.
Yeah,
dogs
like every time. And you just thought it was because like a big things on the screen, but like no.
He knows Bobo the clown is a bad man.
But it was also sort of inspired by a conversation we had. We talked about fear coming from the safest of environments, you know, and for me, I can't think of a safer thing than sitting in front of a TV watching a kids' TV show. You know what I mean? Like like I think for a lot of our generation, it was like we're like raised by that. You know, just stick you in front of the TV for like 6 hours.
Never trust Mr. Blobby either.
Mr. Blobby, yeah. Never trust Noel Edmonds actually.
Never.
Worse.
Well, should leave that in? Should
what in case it turns out?
You can do no.
We'll be famous. We break that story. But yeah, just like it's a kids' TV show, right? It's like, what can go wrong?
But like you said, it's the subversion of that, you know, and it's kind of like it's the burden of trust that you have. That's the scary part, you know. Like you said, it's meant to be the most wholesome, happy, safe time, like safest space you can imagine as a child, right? Kids' TV show, like bright colours, everything's fine. The subversion of that is utterly horrifying, and that's what you did, and it's. Scores on the door.
Oh, you just have scores.
You really got me. That's a 7.8.
A 7.8? Oh, nice. Nice, I'm getting up there.
Because you picked it with how cinematic it was. Which I preferred it in that way, because as I said, all the way throughout I was kind of thinking where the resolution was going to be, where some kind of like ultimate outcome. But the fact that you transcended that and it became a much more horrifying story that's like ingrained in so many different lives and people, the cinematic aspect of it pushed you to that. 7.8.
Thanks, man. Well,
and also it's fantastically written and also fantastically voice acted.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I thought about it just all taking place in one timeline, and like I don't know, like But I don't know, everything just seemed a bit obvious because I was like, where can he go from here? What, he kidnaps him or something after the show, or if he doesn't kidnap him, then he breaks free and he goes home, and then that's that.
Exactly. It needed resolution, but it needed resolution in an almost like laden with despair kind of sense. Like the damage is already done.
Yeah, and I think that's actually because obviously this ties in a lot with like a lot of stuff we see on the news the past like 5 or so years, and I think it's almost more horrifying when you hear like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, he was still on TV for 15 years after that. These people knew about it. They were implicit in it. Like that's scarier than if it just said this happened last week, we got him. Like it's the same.
When you put it like that, it's actually quite comical, isn't it? But
we got it's done. Like it's the same act being committed.
Exactly, man.
And it's not about numbers. Like once is just as bad as whatever. It's, but something about it was happening the whole time is like
it's almost like the establishment of it.
Yeah, and the fact that the parents, I wanted it to be. That's why I put that, his mum in there, the Michael, because it's just like, because they want it. You want that to be a safe space for your kids, right?
Yeah.
And like, it's not just the kids that are like fucked up by that. Sorry, but like the parents and everything, like everyone who believed it for so long, like.
It's the levels of it, and that's what you hit in that story. Good job, buddy.
No sequel though. I'm not going back to that again. Like I'm done.
We'll leave that one. Better less solved.
Just saying. If you want to write a sequel, I'm not reading it. I'm not reading it. Sorry.
No, that was horrifying. Playtime. Wow. No, thank you. Wow. On that horrifying note.
Yeah.
We would also like to give a huge shout out recently following Rebecca's story, Poseidon, which was incredible. We had a great time, and it's lovely to see that you guys had such a great time. We're on 570 subscribers now,
something like that. Yeah.
We're just so stoked that you guys are coming, slowly trickling in, just coming and joining this campfire.
I think they actually liked Rebecca's story probably better than some of ours. Like 100%. Some people were like, 100%. You guys got to step up.
Some of the comments.
That's inspired me. That's why I've come into something that's not.
Some of the comments are like, get rid of one of these guys.
Yeah.
But hopefully, as we said in Rebecca's episode, this will be a long line of us kind of like sharing this fire with people close to us, people who want to tell us stories that we want to listen to. Just like you guys behind the camera.
And you guys can do that.
You can.
Sending in your stories to this email right here. Right.
Okay, there we are, folks.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you so much for doing this whole thing again.
See you soon. Bye.
Hey, clowns.